Is he right?
I mean, Eric Adams is still a Democrat-ish, right?
He does push.
You think he's masculine?
No, he's buff.
Yeah,
He's 63 years old. I was going to say Obama. When they said right away who's the most. Now, he's slim, but he's athletic. He plays ball.
But is he right that Republican... Well, first of all, let me just show you the numbers, because actually the numbers maybe do suggest this. For young men under the age of 29, the swing from 2020 to 2024 in Trump's favor is pretty significant. 49 to 48, Trump to Harris. It's almost tied with young men. Trump did very well with young people relative to what he normally does. There's something going on here.
No, and I mean, this was why, Joe Rogan was so influential in this campaign. Joe Rogan has an audience mostly of young men. There was this whole big drama about whether Kamala Harris was going to give an interview to him, wound up not doing it. I think is probably a mistake, although it probably didn't affect the outcome of the election. But, I mean, I think, what that guy said was pretty dumb, but it is not, it is true that Democrats have a problem, especially with young men. I mean, that is a real fact.
So to me, that, in a way, it validates what Clay Travis is talking about, because if you're trying to get young men, you're not going to get them on all policy points and all the... No, Joe Rogan knows karate, and sometimes he talk about drugs. That's good enough for me. Pete Hegseth was in Germany this week doing squats with like 220 on the bar outside for no reason. That's what the Democrats... I'm being silly, but
and you know what?
serious.
One of the other points that Clay Travis made, and I think this is true, we saw this in real time, when Trump had the assassination attempt in Butler, that image of him raising his fist and saying, fight, 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 was like a shot of testosterone in the arms of a lot of men. Mark Zuckerberg was like, oh my God, he's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And now look at where we are politically with some of these very people really turning politically toward Trump.
Those numbers that you just read, it's been happening for 10 years. This has been happening slowly but surely over time. I think that pollster in that clip earlier had said 2 out of 6 moderate men voted for Trump. It was the majority of moderate men voted for Trump. Even over 20% of liberal men voted for Trump. There has been what is seen as I don't want to say a war on masculinity, but there has been this trend in the Democratic Party, or it's at least felt that the left is becoming more and more hostile to the things that are typically men. And you've seen John Fetterman talk about this idea of like patronizing, calling them bros, or that ad that looked like a spoof at the end of the race of like, real men do this. It's like, have you ever talked to a dude in your life? So in James Carville saying, we need to have less like yappy voices and more men talking. And there are many men in the Democratic Party, West Moore, others.
Democratic messaging is too feminine. But Carrie, what do you think is the masculinity that they are attracted to in Trump?
I'm laughing because I just, no disrespect to you lovely men on this panel.
We do have
but you men are something. That's all, you men are something. And I can see the appeal of Donald Trump being a very strong masculine man, and I can see him winning over men, because I do agree the Democratic Party, for all intent and purpose, felt like a place for the others, and they tried to take on every issue that the Republicans didn't want. If you want to talk about trans, come here. If you want to talk about LGBTQIA, come here. If you want to talk about men and women, in sports, come here. There were all of these things that I felt men wanted to say felt emasculating. It felt like, I'm not with that. I don't believe in that. And I'm going to go over here because they're saying what I'm thinking.
And the abortion issue played a role in that. I mean, I think they did a political calculation.
And I think no one cared about abortion.
The big thing.
I think no one cared about it. I think everyone thought that was the issue. And when it was all said and done at the end of the day, I'm not saying I don't care about abortion. But what I'm saying is when Kamala made that one of her huge talking points, when Michelle campaigned for her, that was a huge talking point. And then in my mind, I'm all like, well, what happened to these people? I knew that people would be upset about that. And it felt as if it didn't matter, although it does. It felt as if it didn't matter because the conversation about manly men, as we just saw that young man say on the panel, what is his name again?
Clay Travis.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.